I'm Ashton Addison from Blockwest Capital for InvestmentPitch Media and the Crypto Coin Show. And today on Blockchain Interviews, once again, we have Josh Rogers, CEO and founder of Minterest. Josh, welcome back to the show. So great to have you on once again.
Ashton, as always, great to be here. And thank you once again for having us back on the show.
You're very welcome. A lot has happened since we last spoke before the little dip in the market in 2021 around Q3. And Minterest was building a lot of momentum for this yield generation platform, and DeFi continues to expand. Let's get the viewers up to speed to start on just a little bit about Minterest, what your team's been working on, and where you're at right now.
Sure. So look, Minterest is a lending protocol that's designed to be a tier one player. It's specifically designed to bring new innovation into DeFi, which really has a significant benefit for its users. And that's really what defines it. In technical terms, we maximize capital efficiency because all of the value of the protocol is captured by the protocol and redistributed back to its users. And we do that in a way that's unique. There's a unique token model that we believe is going to really make a splash and cut through. And then what's actually happened is that we've been spending a lot of time on our public events, and we've had a community allocation event, which was designed specifically to support our smaller investors in Minterest community. The last few months have been very busy, and the team has been very much focused on Minterest Liquidity Bootstrapping Pool. We ran a community allocation event prior to that for smaller investors in order to enable them to be able to participate in a way that we felt was incredibly fair, guaranteed allocation, guaranteed minimum average price, and also no gas fees. And the point of doing that was to enable people to participate in an LBP, which is a mechanism that is extremely transparent, but for smaller investors can often be intimidating. Their mechanisms are relatively complex. So we had an amazing response. We had more than 2,000 people who participated in the community allocation event. And obviously that's had a big impact. And then we've just completed our liquidity bootstrapping pool, which we're completely delighted with. It's really been a fabulous outcome for the protocol. And specifically given the current market sentiment, it really is something we're quite proud of, to see the community support and investor support, despite, other projects not being able to achieve a result similar to Minterest.
Definitely, Josh, and thanks for that background. And yeah, it despite the market slightly dipping over the end of the year in 2021, it seems like your team has checked all the green boxes and you continue to grow, most importantly, community-based project, and really focusing on retail investors and those who just have a little bit and are trying to earn interest on what they have, rather than people who are making money so easily because they already have a lot of money. And I really do appreciate that.
Yeah, look, it's about supporting everyone. We had enormous support as well from Minterest, previously, and who are large investors. It became a bit of a tussle actually, in terms of wanting to get Satoshi, which is the NFTs that we actually provide as rewards for people in the LBP. There's extreme interest in those high value rare NFTs that come with utility. Those NFTs enable people to boost their emissions, in some cases for years, at very, very high levels. So they're extremely advantageous. And there was really strong, very strong interest, even from bigger investors. And I think the thing from interest is, fairness for all means that everyone gets a shot, in a way that really does that. And one of the things we see in DeFi often is that an entire community is not included, and we're very much into how do we design something so that it is truly inclusive, and inclusive does mean all of the participants. So it's something we are very proud of.
Definitely. And you spoke about the LBP. I was reading Minterest is focused not just on the community, but on transparency. And I saw this transparent token mechanism. You sort of mentioned at the beginning about some special mechanism in which you're helping the token, be more distributed, be more fair for everybody. Is that transparent token mechanism, is that the same thing as the LBP, or maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. No, yeah. So a liquidity bootstrapping pool is an event. It's a fundraising mechanism for the protocol itself. So it's actually to bootstrap fundraising or funding for the protocol. And that is quite separate really from the actual the tokenomics of the actual protocol itself. So what distinguishes Minterest is a few things. And while the innovations are technological, they're actually designed to drive its economics. So just like other DeFi projects, Minterest issues or emits tokens to borrowers and lenders to incentivize them to use the protocol. But what we do differently is that we've built our own on-chain liquidation process. So rather than third-party players coming in and liquidating people, the actual protocol runs those liquidation processes, and it means it can do it at far lesser or punishing kind of ways than you see in other protocols. It's much fairer. We liquidate people the absolute minimum that has to occur. We actually do everything we possibly can to ensure it doesn't happen. That's all part of our unique dashboard design. That's a real toolbox to do that. We notify people. We provide every kind of piece of support that we can to users to ensure that doesn't happen. But if it does, the liquidation fees that do occur go back to the community. And how all of the fees in Minterest go back to that community is that we capture interest rate fees, we capture liquidation fees, we will be capturing flash loan fees, and we use the funds that the protocol does capture to buy its own token back. And then we go and distribute that token from the market to the users of the protocol. And we do that in a way that is quite unique. The protocol captures 100% of all of its value entirely. And it does that for the benefit of the general community of users without kind of hidden agendas, without kind of, different kind of roles being played by different users for different benefit. And we just think that that's a much fairer system.
Definitely. Yeah, that sounds a lot fairer. And you mentioned liquidation. People that are just getting into crypto, they get scared. They're like, I just want to earn a few percentage on my Bitcoin or Ethereum. Like, I don't want to get liquidated and lose my money. But of course, there's different financial products available. Some safer, very safe. Some a little riskier if you have a risk appetite, I'm guessing.
Well, the thing is that's interesting for us is that in the whole space, there's not a lot of actually insightful data to enable people to manage their own risk profile in a way that's entirely appropriate. We see so often these sorts of traffic light indicators called red, orange, and green, and somehow that's an indicator of your risk profile, but I still can't figure out what it means. And it gets very complex when you start having a portfolio. It's relatively easy with a single token. You have a portfolio, it gets really complex. So we've built out a very, very sophisticated interface, which gives people a tracking history. Literally, visually, you can actually look at your portfolio and see if any kind of liquidation event would have occurred across it in the last 2 years. And it gives you, and it's all graphical, so that it's very simple and easy for people to be able to digest. It's much more complex than even just that. But it's about how do you give people those insights? How do you protect them? And you protect them by giving them easy to digest, easy to understand data and information that really does support their decision in terms of which way they actually choose to lend or borrow tokens in the Minterest protocol.
Definitely, yeah. No, thank you for that. And with this bootstrapping LBP, is that still going on right now? I know last time we were speaking, we were leading up to it. What's the situation and how is that going for Minterest right now?
Sure. So that started on Tuesday. It ran for 2 days, so that's now complete. But what actually the opportunity now is the protocol's coming to launch. So we'll be launching in March. Obviously, we won't be launching until we've completed our audit processes. We're very proud to say that we have 3 of the absolute best auditors that we believe in the game. The first one's already complete. The second one's starting now, and we have the third one coming just prior to the public launch. So the protocol will launch in 2 phases. By the way, we'll announce those and publish those audits, obviously, as well. But we have a contractual obligation not to disclose who they are until the actual contractual piece is complete. But there will be 3 major auditors in the protocol before it's public. And the protocol launches in 2 phases, and that's for the really interesting opportunity. So Minterest launches in a private phase, and in order for you to launch in a private phase, you must own one of the NFTs that were issued as part of the Liquidity Bootstrapping Pool. Well, how you get them if you weren't in that liquidity bootstrapping pool is you go and buy them on an NFT marketplace. So we are working with marketplaces right now so that people who want to come into Minterest that don't have an NFT can buy one of those NFTs from the existing community members who were awarded them in the LBP itself. And we think that's a really exciting, cool, dynamic way of doing this. Again, we're really proud of the NFTs. They're very beautiful. We had a whole portfolio of artists create those. And each piece is a standalone, unique piece. Nothing is a derivative. We had them done completely from scratch. Influential people in blockchain. So,
cool.
and it's also the top 100 most influential in blockchain ever. So number one is Satoshi. And, obviously Vitalik from Ethereum, you've got Gavin Wood from Polkadot, ex-Ethereum, and Adam Back, who, we all suspect might be Satoshi as well. He was an absolute, a formative cryptographer and a key player in the creation of key aspects of Bitcoin. And it goes on. There's a top 100 there. There's much controversial people in there as well. But it was enormous kind of joy really to put that list together. And again, that list really came together out of 6 defining characteristics, and it was done in conjunction with a very significant group of people from very different aspects within the whole blockchain world, we really poured over that. So it's something we probably will fine tune, over time and improve. But as new people move into that kind of top 100 list, that it's something we really did love putting together.
Definitely, very cool. And I like the fact that the NFT is not just a picture or representation of the top 100. It more importantly has access to something, right? And in this case, it's to the private access before Minterest is launching to the public. And I think that is a big differentiator and value accrual for NFTs. So I'm excited to take a look. I will look at OpenSea or wherever they're listed to see if any of those are available.
Absolutely, and we think we're in discussions right now with some Moonbeam-oriented marketplaces. We'll definitely be announcing that as well. But yeah, they're kind of like a DeFi DIP card. Like they're kind of the access card to the private club in the nightclub. It's a bit like that. And the reason that's important is because we will be bootstrapping the entire private phase with Mint tokens. So people who are staking tokens in that private phase are going to be very, very significant beneficiaries of that. And people can make their own judgment, but we believe the price of an NFT to get access to those staking rights by staking Mint in the protocol is going to be, well, look, we're just going to sit back and watch it, but we're really intrigued to see how it plays out. And like I say, we're just delighted with where we are currently in the whole cycle.
That's amazing, Josh. And yeah, I often hear with these DeFi protocols that come out, depending on what type of asset you're staking, if it's something Bitcoin or Ethereum, normally the APYs they're known ahead of time and they're stable. But with some of these tokens, or if it's the governance token and there's different financial products, generally what I've seen is on the first day or in the first weeks, the APY is significantly higher before people start jumping in and then when more people are in, it sort of lowers down.
Sure, that's exactly what will happen. I can't tell you what I think the APY is because it's dynamic, but we do have expectations that it'll be something fairly crazy. What is crazy? Pick your own judgment about crazy, but we think it's going to be fairly crazy. And by the way, that's actually important because that's what attracts buyers of Mint on market, but it's also what attracts liquidity providers into the protocol. So it's a bootstrapping exercise. There's a lot of design that has gone into that. And what happens is when you start to bring liquidity into the protocol starts generating fees, and its own buyback process kicks in. And that's the whole point that differentiates Minterest, is that it's a self-funding, self-sustaining model, and not one where you simply issue tokens with a hope some point that when those tokens stop, users will continue to participate. That's where DeFi is a financial product. That doesn't happen. You've got to build a full sustaining, full self-funding internal system And that's what we built with Minterest. So this is a bootstrapping exercise. It's a once-off opportunity. It's not going to happen again. And by the way, that private launch will go for some time. It'll go for 5 to 8 weeks. The DAO gets built out properly inside that. All the full internal DAO processes get built out. And we want to run the protocol through a full set of its internal cycles, and that takes at least 35 days. So, it's a minimum 5 weeks and possibly longer. And like I say, we don't exactly, we don't know, but our expectations are that the APYs in there are going to be pretty crazy. And that's actually in the best interest of the protocol, because that's what's going to drive liquidity. It's got, people will start to notice about it. It'll get social media. You'll see liquidity providers start to notice interest. So there's a huge number of very positive outcomes that do come from that. And obviously, we expect it to have a positive impact on the token price. But like I say, who knows?
Yeah, we'll see when the private part launches. And yeah, so for the viewers that are looking to potentially get involved as early as they can, or right now, if there's any different ways, what's the best way for them to follow along as we move towards the NFT, the private launch, the mainnet launch?
Well, look, the simplest way is simply our social media, all of our social media channels. So please drop in the Telegram, come and talk to us in Discord. Discord is where we drill down into a great deal of the detail. It's where we actually provide more of the detail in terms of people's questions and answers. And follow us on Twitter. And like I say, we're looking forward to this next phase. Very excited.
Likewise, Josh. Thanks so much for coming on. Incredible situation that with this LBP and the transparent token mechanism, I really haven't seen this before, and I'm excited to see these NFTs on the marketplace, see if I can get access to the private launch as well. Very exciting. So much to talk about here. I'm sure after the launch, you'll come back on and we'll follow up again. So until then, let's follow up in the near future.
Thank you. We would love to. And thank you once again, Ashton. And it's a pleasure once again talking to you.